This meeting is being recorded.
All right, so everyone here, just be quiet, please. This today's session is by Shekhar Mayanil and Pravin Khatal about mindset and heart set. And I don't know who is going to talk about which set, but anyway, so let's see how that goes. And both of you, both Shekhar Mayanil, and I'm not sure Shekhar Pravin Khatal also you probably know. Again, as I mentioned, Shekhar Mayanil is a pioneer in yogic neuroscience, and Pravin Khatal is a cancer survivor. And after that, in his journey of that survival from cancer, he learned so many things, and both spirituality as well as many different aspects of living a better life. And both of them, we are all very honored to have both of them here talking to as conduct in this hybrid session. So with that, Shekhar, Praveen, let's start with a short meditation and then continue with.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. And again, you can one person can sit down if you want.
We'll stand.
Okay.
Namaskar, everyone. This is my buddy Praveen,
and partner in crime.
and I am honored to share the stage with him. You have to honestly believe what I'm saying. Anyway, let's start with a short prayer and brief meditation. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Close your eyes. Sit straight. Breathe deeply from the base of your spine all the way to the top of your head. Hold it there. Exhale from the front of your body and again hold at the base of your spine. And continue this for 7 breaths. Now you resume normal breathing. Just the way you do normal inhalation and exhalation, that's all. Your forehead relax, relax, relax. Your facial muscles relax, relax, relax. Your neck muscles relax, relax. Your shoulders relax, relax. Your hands very, very relaxed. Your spine is straight and relaxed. Your upper chest relax, relax. Your abdomen relax, relax. Your spine is straight and relaxed. Your lower back very relaxed. Your hands on your lap and are relaxed. Your thighs relaxed. Your knees are very, very relaxed. Your calf muscles, your ankles are very, very relaxed. You have parked your body in a very safe location. You come in front of your body and see a perfect Buddha like you sitting there, totally relaxed, totally peaceful and calm. Keep watching it. Keep watching your body. करुणा करो करुणा निधान करुणा करो करुणा निधान शंकर महादेव शंभो महान करुणा करो करुणा निधान गिरिजापते दुर्जटे हर शशिधर गिरिजापते दुर्जटे हर शशिधर काशी पुराधीश भस्मांग सुंदर भुवेश प्रथमेश जय कर्णिकेश हे भुवेश प्रमथेश जय कर्णिकेश महाकाल मृत्युं जय नंदिकेश करुणा करो करुणा निधान करुणा करो Kindly rub your palms against each other and place it on your face, covering your eyes, and slightly, gently slide it down. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Please forgive us both if we are unable to communicate what we really want. Thank you. Pravin?
Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you, Dada. So today we have a very interesting topic, mindset versus heartset. But before we start, I'm going to start with a story. The story is about a bird. It's flying around New York City, and there's a big building which is made out of glass, just like all the buildings that you see in the New York area. And this bird happens to get into one of those buildings on the 27th floor. And once it's inside, it realizes that it is in an area which is something that it is not, you know, uh, which is not, which it is not accustomed to. So it starts flying around aimlessly, trying to get out of that place. But the opening is so small, it doesn't find it. It keeps bumping against the glass. North side, south side, east side, west side. It keeps bumping. Every time it bumps against the glass, it falls down, gets up again, tries to get out. This happens quite a few times to a point where the bird is completely exhausted, tired, and in pain because it has kept banging against the glass so many times, thinking that, because the glass is clear, it thinks that there's a wide sky out there which it can get back to. When it is completely tired and it's so tired that it is now fallen down, it gives up. At that point of time, a very gentle person like Shekhar Dada happens to be there. He picks up the bird with a pincher, gives him some couple of drops of water, takes him near the opening, and the bird flies away into the open sky out of the building. The reason I told this story is something to be very closely observed. It was continuously trying to escape the situation it was in. And finally, when it was completely tired and exhausted, it gave up and left it all to the divine. The divine, in this case, was Shekhar Dada, which lifted him up and set it free. I've had a similar life experience, which is something very similar happened to me in the year 2019. I was diagnosed with cancer. There was a lump on my chest, closer to my right shoulder, which was diagnosed as stage 2 cancer. And then eventually in 2019, I underwent surgery. Just like all of us, I thought it was behind me. So I was on some medication. Exactly 1 year fast forward to 2020, there was a recurrence. Again, I underwent another surgery and underwent radiation therapy. Went back to my old lifestyle again with on some medication. 2021, again the second recurrence. This time it was much more serious and almost near fatal. The cancer had spread to my lungs, to my esophagus, my thorax, my bones, my lymph nodes, practically the entire abdominal area. My right lung had collapsed. It was full of fluid, and there was almost 3.75 liters of fluid which was drained out. Condition is called pleural effusion. Some of you from the medical field may know about this. When that fluid was drained out, I was bedridden. I couldn't walk. I couldn't breathe properly. And at that point of time, I went and saw my oncologist doctor, and I asked him what were my chances. After some prodding, he told me, Pravin, you've got 3 to 6 months to live, and there's no treatment that I can really offer you. You will have to get into palliative care. So a stage 4 cancer patient, almost close to death, looking at 3 to 6 months as his life expectancy. That night, I remember I was crying like a baby, just like that bird. I was completely exhausted, mentally, physically, and I was crying out with a plea, saying that God help me. I'm the only son. My sister is happily married in Baroda, the only son of my parents, their only support system. I had 2 kids at that point of time, which were school going, and my wife was a homemaker. So obviously, the what will happen to them after I pass was something that weighed very heavily on my mind. At that point of time, when I was crying, I didn't know, but now in hindsight, as they say, vision is always perfect. 2020 in hindsight, I now see the similarity with that bird, and in some divine way, I was lifted, and here I am today in front of you talking about that experience. Now, what happened really was the very next day, one of my friends, he came home and said, Praveen bhai, I heard about you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I don't know whether this is going to be of help, but I have this book on my shelf, in my bookshelf, which may be of use to you. I had nothing else to do because there was no doctor to go to. The doctors had already sent me home to palliative care. So obviously, and then I was in complete despair, exhausted. There was this book in front of me which said, The Only Answer to Cancer by Dr. Leonard Coldwell. Dr. Leonard Coldwell has now become a very good friend, but at that time, he was a complete stranger to me. I started reading the book, what really happened during the book. And the book is very interesting, while it has a lot of techniques on how to naturally cure yourself. What I think the most important thing about the book was, and again, this is not an advertisement of the book, but I just wanted to say that the book talked about us becoming close to nature again, using our natural instinct to be close to nature. We are surrounded by a lot of capitalistic agendas, be it the food companies, the pharma companies, the doctors, and I'm not saying that medical science is to be avoided. By the way, medical science is amazing. You have trauma, you have urgent care, break your bones, you have to go to the doctor. If if you need to find out what's going in your body, modern science has now come to a point where diagnostics is amazing. You know exactly what's going on in your body. But I'm sad to say that when it comes to chronic diseases, they still have a lot.
Voice is echoing, that's what they're saying. So normally our nature.
Do we really need this? I am loud enough. Am I loud enough for everyone? Okay.
Yeah, you don't need the mic actually. You're fine.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So modern science itself has come a long way. Diagnostics is amazing. You know exactly what's going on in your body. What I realized was, and by the way, I started experimenting with all my with the new findings of the book. And as I started experimenting, I realized that we are made up of the 5 elements, and so is nature. We come from nature and we are going to be part of nature. Yesterday with Vitthal Dada, I was listening to a Jagjit Singh ghazal which spoke about, I don't remember the exact words now, but it's meant something like, we all come from nature, we will all go back into nature, and we wouldn't know who we really are. And that's an interesting thing, because who we really are we what we think we are, which our mind keeps telling us? Or are we that natural instinct that comes from our heart from time to time? Or are we a mix of both? And that's exactly the topic of today. We are going to dwell into each of it scientifically, metaphysically, spiritually, and so on. So now coming back to our point, what is it that we feel every day? What is it that we think every day? During my entire journey, one thing I discovered is my heart beats, it doesn't need my intervention. It beats on its own. My liver secretes bile, it doesn't need my intervention. It does it on its own. When my mind cognizes thoughts, I intervene. I somehow feel that all the thoughts that my mind cognizes are mine. They belong to me. I cling to each thought, and that thought carries me, drags me. In Marathi, we say, farfatat घेऊन जातो. कुठे कुठे. And that creates a lot of pleasure and sometimes a lot of pain, because we take each and every thought seriously. We have to understand the brain is a machine which is going to take, just like a computer, you give it inputs from the keyboard, from the camera, from the mouse, and it takes that information and processes it. Your brain is working exactly the same way. It takes information from the 5 senses. It uses the information along with the information which is in the memory. Every single day, from the day you are born to this very day, every experience has been recorded in you as a memory. Each input that comes in is going to be compared with that memory. It will be resurrected as a thought, and you will, as our habits, we will keep clinging to that thought, thinking that is the real me. And that is what is happening in our day-to-day lives. We are going from pleasure to suffering to pain because of this clinging nature. Then comes along some guru in our lives who tells us to create that space between ourselves and the thought in the form of meditation, in the form of kriyas, in the form of yoga. And we find that happiness, that little peace that we are looking for. But because we are conditioned ourselves, and when I'll take a pause here and I'll say why I use the condition. We are truly never free. I brush my teeth with the same toothbrush with the same hand every day. I start brushing it from the same side. I use the same amount of toothpaste. When I go and take a bath, I start applying soap to the same hand or to the same face. And I have been doing it for ages. I am a slave of my habit. We are all slaves of the conditioning that we have conditioned ourselves into. And many of us have conditioned ourselves to be victims. I am a victim of my situation. Many a times a victim of my professional situation, my personal situation, and so on. Right? So, taking a step back, we have these thoughts which are cognized. The first fallacy is to believe that each thought is true, clinging on to that thought, and then conditioning ourselves to believe that we are what that thought and that emotion which came along. So, what really is happening to us is every thought that we cognize comes from our mind or brain. Mind is nothing but brain in action when it is at work. And every emotion is our bodily reaction to it, right? So when you feel anger, you don't think anger, you feel it. You can feel it in your gut. When you feel happy or gratitude, you don't think happy, you first feel it. And of course, then it will get you to happy thoughts. And then the cycle continues. The happy thought will trigger another happy emotion. The happy emotion will again trigger another happy thought. Same thing happens with our negative emotions as well. There is a trigger. It starts with either with a thought or an emotion. And we are then, based on our conditioning, we are just going round and round and round. The smart people, the Sadgurus of the world, the yogis of the world, were able to demystify this, and they understood that this was a science, and this was also, just knowing it theoretically is one part. The second part of it is really to uncondition ourselves by daily practice. Coming out of this, finally we all seek the same thing, right? We want happiness. So with that, knowing that our body's language is emotions and our mind's language is thoughts, what really is the right thing? Should I have the right mindset or should I have the right instinctive heart set? The answer is obvious. There has to be a right balance between both of them. You can't live in this world with just a heart set. You will be a doormat. People will walk all over you. You can't have the only mindset like the bird which was trying to get out, or which I was before I really had that life event. I was a very senior executive at a firm. I was making a lot of money. I had all the pleasures, the best cars in the world, all the German cars you can think of. But what I really was lacking was the day when I was crying and that plea to God, that God, please get me out of that situation. I could not exchange any of my belongings for that extra day or for an extra month of life. That is when I realized that all these identities which I had created for myself were not true. They were all imaginations of my own conditioning. And when you understand that conditioning and you start shattering, in my case, it happened inadvertently. That one day I realized I was none of those identities. My entire mindset changed. I actually surrendered it. I wouldn't say I surrendered. I ended up inadvertently surrendering myself completely to God. And Dada will talk about this, the difference between Sharanagati and Samarpan. So that was Sharanagati inadvertently.
That was Samarpan.
That was Samarpan.
And then Lord took over, and that was Sharanagati.
Yes. And the grace of God happens when that identity is shattered. When you stop believing that you are the one controlling everything. When that gets shattered is when that hand comes, gives you that small drops of water that you much needed at that point of time, takes you to the window and sets you free. With that, I will hand it over. I'll take a pause for any questions, and then I will hand it over to Shekhar Dada. give us more insights.
So when you went through the
Repeat the
pain
question.
of what you went through, and doctor had given you few days or months to leave, like, what else did you feel? Like your body was in pain and everything, and like, how did you surrender yourself to the God? Like, how did you, like,
Right.
what were your
Beautiful,
prayers?
beautiful
What were your last plea?
Right. So the question really is, when I was in that situation, what was I really feeling? How did the plea really take place? In what form? Right? Is that the correct question?
Mhm.
What I was really feeling was very helpless, to be very honest. I realized that I do not amount to anything. All the notions that I was X, Y, and Z, I always thought I'm a perfectionist. And I'll tell you, this is another amazing thing that I discovered. I thought I was a perfectionist. So I wanted everything to be perfect. What I realized is I had conditioned myself to think I am a perfectionist. But inherently, what is happening is a perfectionist is a person who is never satisfied with the output that he is creating. So that means he is always in doubt of his own abilities. I had tremendous self doubt, right? And I had masqueraded that self doubt by my action. I had compensated that self doubt with action, saying that I'm a perfectionist. When that reality came to me in front of myself, that you are no perfectionist, you are just a work in progress, and we all are works in progress. We give ourselves these labels. At that point of time, all the labels shattered for me. All I knew was I had no control over my life. And once I realized that Sharanagati, or that complete surrender, happened as a natural process, I had just offered myself to God, saying that, please help me. I don't know what to do. I was profusely crying. My wife was observing me, and she came and she hugged me tight and she said, Pravin, you are acting as if you're already dead. And don't worry, things will be fine. It is not done unless it is done. All that sounded great, but I didn't know what to do. I was helpless. And then came the next day when this book landed in my lap. That was the grace of God. And then I will be very honest with you. We don't believe this unless you hear it. Sometimes you may think it is too magical and miraculous. Every single piece of information that I talk to with people, give them they reach out to me saying that I have got this type of cancer, what should I do? I tell them about the diet. I tell them about this mental cognition and how the mind works and so on. Each piece of information, it's not that I'm also exposed to the same information that all of us are, through Google, through PubMeds, through NIH. But for some magical reason, every piece of information which came to me at that point of time, when I was in complete surrender, was bullseye. It was what I was looking for. That was the grace of God. My heart set was at its peak. And it was happening inadvertently. I was not making an effort. I was only in surrender. A friend of mine called me from India. His name is Zarir Patel, an amazing person. I owe a lot to him. He called me and he said, Praveen, I heard about you. I know that I can't be of help. Typically, you help your friends. Somebody is not doing well. You want to be there. You take your car saying that I'll take you to the hospital. I'll get groceries for you. I'll cook your food. Here was a friend who was in India, and he said, Praveen, I want to help, but I don't know how. But I can do one thing. Every day we are going to sit for 1 hour and we are going to try and research through medical channels what cancer is all about. What are you dealing with? We started going through research articles. We formed our own impressions. For some reason, I realized that sugar is bad for cancer. So I started removing sugar from my diet. Slowly, I started coming up with some input saying that there were cruciferous vegetables which had cancer fighting compounds in them. I started curating my diet around those foods, cruciferous vegetables. I came across intermittent fasting and I realized that I am actually stressing my digestive system with continuously eating food all the time. We are feeding ourselves to death. We don't need that much food. Somebody has told us you have to have a breakfast, then you have to have 1.5 hours later, you have to have lunch, then you have to have a snack, then you have to have dinner, and then you have to have coffee after dinner. And we just keep feeding ourselves. Our activity levels have reduced because we live in the world of luxury. The time and age, everything, you can just call up DoorDash your food or Swiggy your food. We are not moving ourselves enough. We are actually sitting on a time bomb, each one of us. And unless a thing like this happens, we don't wake up. So now think about this. Mentally, you have conditioned yourself to think you are something that you are not. Physically, you have conditioned yourself to be completely inactive and feeding yourself to death. What's the obvious outcome of all this? Now, how do you uncondition yourself? So you start looking at the physical condition of what you treat yourself with. And then you go back to the basics. I happened at that time to read a book on Ashtanga Yoga. The book is amazing. It's called Light on Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar. The first chapter of it talks about the 8 pillars of yoga, which is Ashtanga Yoga. And if you really see, for you to be a true yogi and to get those spiritual understandings and experiences, you have to start changing your diet. You have to. And then I found Vikram Dada, Vikram Patarkine. Here he was posting his pictures every day of food, which was fruits and vegetables and nuts. I went nuts. I have to tell you that.
I'm into that too.
Come nuts. Amazing revelation. He has himself, been posting relentlessly, and a lot of us follow him. But I met Shri Kaka. I remember my first conversation with Shri Kaka. Thank you, Vittal Dada, for introducing me to Shri Kaka. He was teaching yoga during the COVID days to kids and to families free of charge. I had to condition myself to learning that art. I didn't attend too many classes. I'm sorry, Kaka, for that. But the earlier one, at that point of time, I was trying too many experiments with myself. But I got the gist of what he was trying to explain. Our spinal cord is very important. It needs to be flexed enough because it carries cerebrospinal fluid. That cerebrospinal fluid has to go around from the perineum to your head and back twice a day over a period of time because of various blockages along the path, which is the 7 chakras, as we say. The 7 chakras are actually 7 important glands. And each of these glands is a segue for the various hormones that are created. Each hormone is created based on the emotions that we feel. And when we feel the same emotion because of our conditioning over and over again, you are over creating a particular hormone. So let's take chemical A and chemical B. The mixture of both of those in different proportions can create C, D, E, F, or whatever, right? So if I had, let's say, A was a positive hormone and B was a negative hormone, if I had more of positive hormone content, my overall C would be a positive hormone, which will help the healing process. And if B was more, then it would have a negative hormonal. So now the quest was always to increase the positive hormones. Once you know the science, then you have to walk the talk, right? And over a period of time, when you are regimentally disciplined about it, over a period of time, it starts showing you the results. So after, I got a call from my doctor after about 5 weeks saying that, Mr. Khatal, we were trying to get you onto a clinical trial. We see your results. What are you doing? And I got scared because I was used to bad news in those days so often. I thought I had done something wrong. And she immediately said, nothing to worry about. Your cancer tumors have reduced by 75%. And that was a huge news for me because 75% means if I had 3 months, now suddenly I had a year to live. So I had bought myself more time. Now I connect the dots again. When I had shattered all those images of myself, I was trying to buy time, right? I was so desperate. Can I give somebody some money and buy myself more time? But here my good practices were yielding me more and more time. I was sold, convinced on the conditioning. And that conditioning happens through the right mindset and the action against it, and the right heart set and the action that you take against it. With that, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just one.
Yeah.
What is the book you are talking about
Yeah.
by Leonard Baldwin?
Leonard Coldwell, The Only Answer to Cancer. More than the book, it was the direction that the book gave me, which was really towards more and more natural things. And I'll give you an example why it is important to be more close to nature. If you really see, we are surrounded by chemicals. I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is I wash my face. That water is full of chlorides and fluorides. I brush my teeth with chlorine and fluorine. Then I take a soap which is full of some chemical or the other. Then I go down to my breakfast table. I pour myself a cup of milk with some cereal in it, Kellogg's or whatever it may be. Again, comes out of a packet, lot of chemicals. Milk is something that we've already know. It has a lot of preservatives. Some of it has antibiotics. Some of it has hormonal injections given to cows. Some of it is not grass fed. I mean, we can go on and on just about milk. Then we get on with our lives, which are very sedentary. We log on to computers. We are completely exposed to radiation. We cook our food in microwaves. We get the food out of refrigerators. If you remember, if when we were cavemen as human beings, no refrigerator was allowed into a cave because the refrigerator did not exist. The microwave did not exist. We couldn't store food. We used to, by nature itself, we were having natural food, fresh food. So, once I started reading that book by Dr. Leonard Coldwell, there was a shift in my thinking towards more natural ways of thinking. And that's why the book is amazing. Do read it if you get a chance. But even if you don't, every thing that you put in your body, ensure that you take a minute to think, where is it coming from? Is it coming from a Tetra Pak package, or is it coming from Mother Nature? At the end of the day, we are the 5 elements. We are going to get back to nature. But if you are putting things from nature into your body, you are going to heal yourself. If you are going to put processed chemicals in your body, trust me, you are just flipping a coin and taking a chance.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
So-
Just a minute. There is a statement here.
Time-wise, we are way to stop at 12:20. Okay.
Okay.
12:15 I'll stop.
Okay. Yeah, you had us.
I just wanted to say that initially, I think Guruji or you said survivor of cancer. Cancer is not larger than life. You conquered the cancer. Because cancer it's not more than what our potential of human brain or human, self-realization is. So just wanted to make a statement that you conquered it, you did not survive. Cancer is pretty small compared to what you could do.
Thank you, Sangeeta Didi. Very well said, but I have to take it with a pinch of salt, because the moment I start forming another identity that I'm a survivor or I'm a conqueror, then it beats the whole purpose again. So with that, I thank you for the compliment. And but at the same time, I want to be cautious with myself, not calling myself a survivor or a conqueror. I am just Mr. Pravin Khatal for you and your friend. Uh, And with that, there was one more question from the online group.
Anagatai.
Can I ask one question?
Definitely, Anagadai.
Okay, thank you. I mean, it's amazing that you have got a second chance in life and you're making such a good use, illuminating each one of us.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And my question is, this is like every time you hit the bottom, the drug addicts hit the bottom and they find they change. Many of us, unless we hit the bottom, that realization doesn't come to us. So did it happen to you when you had first time cancer? And was there anything in your mind fighting with the mind sometimes? One part of mind fighting with the other part of mind? How
It was. It is just like everyone
how
else.
did you
Today, Anagatai.
do it?
Yeah, sorry, complete your question. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So that's how you went through. So that's what I'm asking. Is there any way where
Sure.
one could see those opportunities which are coming to us unless we hit the bottom? Opportunities are there. We just don't focus on that present moment.
Yeah.
So is there any suggestion for does it coming is coming to you since you're gone
Sure. Sure. Very nice
through
question.
on that?
What
Just for
Anagatai
the
is,
people who can start it early.
yeah. Anagatai has a good question. She has, the question really is that do we always have to hit rock bottom before we smarten ourselves, and can we avoid the rock bottom? Can we do things in a preventive way in such a manner? And I'm very honestly, Anagatai, beautiful question. I think all of us on this call here are already taking that preventive action by investing this time to listen to stories like mine and various others on this platform from time to time. A lot of you are already invested in Sri Yoga or in the Marathi Mandal. There are so many activities which are happening. It's happening because something within you is telling you that this is the right thing for me to do. Now the question is, to what extent and to what scale are you going to scale this thing? That depends on each individual, how invested they are, right? So I would recommend you to keep making this investment in yourself, and not hit that rock bottom. Do understand, mind will play games because it's a cognition machine. It will keep creating these identities. It will keep telling you you are this and you are that, and watch yourself. I had read this book about Eckhart Tolle called The New Earth when I was going through this, and he had suggested a exercise which was, can you write a statement about any topic without using the word I? And trust me, it's not very easy. And I struggled a lot. I still do. And by the way, when there is no moment of flipping a switch that, okay, now that I have hit rock bottom and come out, means I'm all sorted. No, I'm still fighting these same battles. I'm still fighting. I'm having thoughts about my identities. But it's just that because of that one experience, I am cautioned every time by my subconscious to not fall into that trap again. And those are the only things, if you can condition yourself through meditate, by creating that space between all the thoughts that your mind is cognizing and yourself. When I say yourself, is that in Vedanta they call it aham brahmasmi, I am, you are it, I am that, right? So that consciousness, when I, and people ask, this is a big topic in itself, but if you really look at yourself in the mirror, there was always this observer. The face that you saw in the mirror kept changing when you were a child, when you grew up, but the witness who was observing that or cognize or interpreting everything was always the same. That me, that witness has never changed. The body has changed. As a child, when I saw myself in the mirror, my understanding about myself may have changed, but that witness never changed. That witness is that me. That is the real you. Rest everything are identities. And if you can stay away from those identities, caution yourself every time you try and hold on to one. As human beings, we are only seeking two things. We create an identity, we are trying to avoid suffering for it, or seek pleasure for it. I keep giving this example. I drive a car. If I'm riding a car with Shekhar Dada, let's say, and Shekhar Dada, if I tell him, Dada, how are you driving? Are you planning to kill me today? What is Dada going to think about me? He's going to say, पहले तो इसको बिठाया मैंने आणि तो आता मला म्हणतोय की तुम्ही मला मारताय का? So why is that thought coming? Because if Shekhar Dada thinks of himself as a good driver, which is the identity he created, anything against that identity is causing him suffering. If I said on the flip side, दादा तुम्ही एवढी चांगली गाडी चालवता की पोटामधलं पाणी पण हलत नाही. Dada is going to say, I am right about myself. I am a great driver after all. That's because you are seeking pleasure out of that statement. Every moment of your life, you are either seeking pleasure for the identities that you are carrying with you, or you are avoiding suffering. Being aware what is that identity in play as of this point of time is called awareness, which is what you are practicing through the various practices of meditation or yoga, creating that distance between that thought. If you could do that on a sustained basis, I don't believe, Anagatai, anybody can hit rock bottom.
That's
I
true.
hope I
It's
answered.
only very difficult as well. Yes, sure. Yes, very nicely. Thank you.
We have a few more questions or comments, which I can read to you. Archana ji asks, do you have any videos on YouTube?
Yes, I do, and we can share them, in the recording, or we can share them after this session.
Yeah. Manjiritai says, going to rock bottom and rising up turns into a story. There will be some people who are conscious by their own efforts, just by grace of nature, and they won't go to rock bottom.
Yes. True.
Thank you. Uma Dighe, do you have a question?
Do you want to take questions?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think if we can
Okay.
park the questions for some time, we have Shekhar Dada,
Yes.
some very interesting content. And I want all of us, from a yogic neuroscientific standpoint, that content is very important for all of us to understand the mechanics of what I just said and
Okay.
laid the stage for.
Okay, great. So we'll take questions at the end. Okay. Thank you so much.
Book, please.
Name of the book is Only Answer to Cancer by Dr. Leonard Coldwell. I will share that.
Yeah, I have shared it in the comments too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. After Praveen is a Herculean task. Because he has life experience. Life experience is much more vital than anything else. There is no doubt about that.
Thank you, then.
How many people have heard you got to have a right mindset, man? You cannot do anything without right mindset. The mindset can get you somewhere, only someplace. I would say, remember the bird he was talking about, the bird, that bird was caught up in a glass chamber, right? 4 glass walls were there and he trapped inside. Let's say one glass wall consists of bhakti yoga, right? Only bhakti, you have to have the bhakti, because otherwise you'll never amount to anything. And Pravin did all the bhakti yoga, 100%. That bird did it all. Nothing happened. Then if somebody says, I don't know, you have to learn Vedant, man. Cannot do bhakti. Just bhakti doesn't get you anywhere. You'll become doormat. Oh yeah. Let's get to the Vedant. And he did it all Vedant. Everything was fantastic. But nothing happened. No, you have to join Sri Yoga group. Then only things will happen. You have to do yogasan, kriya yoga, this, that. Nothing happened. Then he said, no, service is must. You have to serve. Then only things will happen. And he did, that bird did it all. And still didn't happen. He did all the possible, everybody, nobody wants to suffer. They are doing the best they can to not suffer, right? But still stuff doesn't happen. And the bird falls. That is the end of I. But that particular fall that bird experienced was surrender or samarpan. And the kind gentleman that picked up that bird is Sharanagati for that bird. Once you surrender, or once you experience Samarpan, it is still I did the Samarpan. That I still exist, little bit I. But when the kind master picks you up with his loving hand, gives a dropper of, uh, takes a dropper, puts some water in your mouth, and feeds few grains of wheat, and lets him fly to the door, that is Sharanagati. And when that bird goes and sits outside and sits on the tree and looks back, who was that gentleman who did it all for me? That is exactly what Pravin is experiencing right now. That whole discussion that we discussed right now, till the point of he was trying every possible thing. Did that book did the job, do the job, or did anything else? Something else did the job actually, and that he doesn't know who did it. Is it the right diet that did it? He don't know. Is it the book? Is it the right attitude? It is the right mindset? What did it? He doesn't know that. Still, the answer is very open. But one thing he knows, one thing, that whosoever that gentleman was who gave that book to him, or whosoever that Mr. Patel from India who helped him with all the research, or even somebody suggested, Jangleji suggesting him to go to uh, Sri Yoga, Sabnis Kaka. All that helped. But today he is thinking, Mero bhalo kiyo Ram apni bhalai. Mero bhalo kiyo Ram apni bhalai. Ram did because he was so gracious. Because of his greatness, things happened for me. So this is Pravin's right current heart set. He has transcended the mindset, and he has landed up into this heart set where Saranagati he is experiencing, which is billion times far. You cannot explain it. It is not possible. So but Samarpan only happens when you did every possible dimension of activity. You have experienced everything that you want to do, and still nothing happens. And once that state comes, then he's open. He's open to any possibilities. And Sharanagati is one of those greatest ones. So I don't want to discuss a whole lot of other stuff, mindset versus heart set, all that. So I think I'll end here and let Pravin or anybody has some questions regarding some good things. What is a heart set? And what is a mindset? Have you heard also that people don't care how much you know? People want to care how much people want to know how much you care. So that is the beauty of, I may give a lot of instructions, but how many people have given a lot of good advice to a lot of good heartfelt advice to somebody and they don't understand it. And he say, my goodness, I told him all the right things and still that fellow doesn't understand. I told him the right thing, right books to read, right diet to take, but he say, what about this? But what about this? But, and then there's always some but everywhere. You know why that happens? Because the person who is telling that person does not have the right heart set to tell that person. That person, in order to have the right mindset to listen to you, you have to have the right heart set in order to communicate to that person. Howsoever fantastic advice and idea you can have in life, it will not reach the person who desperately wants that till it becomes his or her idea to accept what you're saying. So I may have a lot of data. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. So what it does is I have to have the right heart set before I communicate, so that he has a right mindset to listen to me. And there is nobody as good as Hanumanji in doing so. In Lanka, he went to find out Sitaji's whereabouts, and she was in dire stress that time. He could have said, Tat Tvamasi Sitaji, you are that, you are not you are indestructible, you are all the top-notch Vedanta he could have given to her. And she's struggling right now. So Hanumanji comes down to the level at, Mother, I am sent by Karuna Nidhan to you to seek your blessings. And he tells stories, he tells Ram Katha to her before she gets to that level of Aham Brahmasmi. Right? So you have to get to that, you have to get the person to a compassionate level where you can communicate the beautiful things. So that is the difference between heart set and mindset. Most of Vedantists, especially I was like that, had zero heart set, had no clue what heart set meant. Good knowledge, good science, everything, data, man, you name, this is the data, doesn't reach, does not reach. It just does not reach. And that's why I thought that one should have the right heart set in order to communicate what you have in your mind. You have to have the right heart set to make possible the person's right mindset so that that person gets it. So this is, and this was another dimension of it. But Pravinji is one of my very, very, very good friends, and he has a storyline, story things that he tells is much more powerful than any data, any discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mayanil ji. And you know, what you just now said really resonates with me. We all must have heard the saying, I think it is by Maya Angelou, which says, people will not remember what you say, but they will remember how you make them feel.
Yes.
And that's true not only for strangers and our friends and family members, but even very close relationships, right? When
Yes.
we're talking to our parents or to our kids or
Everybody.
our
Yes.
siblings, or just this very good example of you know, you talking to your guru, or how a student and teacher relate to each other. So
Very
thank you so much. Very beautifully put. I had never thought of it as a heart set, but that's a good word to use.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
both Pravin ji and Shekhar ji, thank you so much. This was so valuable.
Sure.
We do have a few more comments. But before that, somebody, Uma Dighe, had raised a hand. Did you have another question, or are you done?
No, I think I got some answer from Shekhar Dada.
Okay.
So
okay.
you had to have a heart set, so
Yes.
somebody can accept your suggestion or something with
Yes,
right
yes.
mindset.
So I'll give another example of Vibhishan. Vibhishan was Ravan's brother, and Hanumanji has gone to him, and Hanumanji says, and Vibhishan says, Hanumanji says, I am been sent by Sri Ram to find out the whereabouts of Sita ji. And Vibhishan is a Ram Bhakt actually, very deep devotee of Vishnu, right? So he says, when will the Lord in his infinite, I have heard the Lord has infinite compassion. When will that compassion fall on me? Is there any way I can be rescued from this? Because my life is just like tongue living inside the 32 teeth here, set of teeth. So it is very difficult for me to survive here and do my sadhana or anything. When will Lord, your Lord, Hanumanji's Lord means Ram survive? He says, are you crazy? You are a human being. I am monkey. This despicable monkey who's, if somebody remembers me, even first thing in the morning, he will never get the meal in the entire day. That person, that entity, I would say, that monkey, Ramchandra ji ki kripa too. It is his kripa that so why won't he not do it? So he went to the even lower level. He said, I am despicable, much worse than you are. But Ram did kripa to me. Why won't he not do it to you? And that boosted his self-esteem so much that he was able to confront Ravan. He said, don't do this, return Sitaji. Sitaji was there for quite some time, but Vibhishan did not get the courage. Now he is getting the courage. So that is the beauty of having the heart set Hanumanji has, to create such a mindset in Vibhishan so that he trusts his own greatness and has a good self-esteem to confront with the evil. So that's what is necessary.
Okay.
Thank
We have Naina Gupta who says, I would like to share my experience with Shekhar Dada and Pravin Dada. So, Naina ji, do you want to talk now?
Yeah.
हल्ली बाय द वे ते नैना गुप्ते आहेत.
Sorry,
Gupte.
Naina Gupte. Sorry.
Gupta nahi, Gupte.
Sorry,
I'm
sorry.
so thankful.
Namaskar,
Shekhar.
Naina Tai.
Namaskar. So nice to see you both. And just wanted to share me and my husband's experience and my brother's experience with you. So what happened was I was associated with Vikram Dada first in his sattva and yoga and that stuff. So during that time, my husband was diagnosed with COPD and he was at the 3rd stage. And eventually went to 4th, and we did really, both of us were collapsed and we didn't know what to do. And I expressed my concern and talked to Vikram Dada about this. He said, I'll give you one contact, and he gave me contact of Shekhar Dada. And he said, talk to him and he may be of some help to you. Now, Shekhar Dada is a real heart set, as he mentioned. Here is my husband, Deepak Gupte. So
Namaskar.
he really communicated well with him, because sometimes he's hard on understanding things because he was so confused at that point. Dada gave not only the exercises, the breathing exercises, but meditation was awesome. And lastly was, we have storytelling class, and we would sit like this and shake our legs at the back like a small child. He said that will help you. And then he would tell the stories. That really impacted so much on us, the storytelling part. But what happened was my husband practiced it every single day till today. To my surprise and his pulmonologist's surprise, he has oxygen going on 99% without any devices.
Awesome.
And his pulmonologist asked him, what are you doing? Whatever you're doing, just continue doing. You look healthy. So he's doing that till today. So I'm really glad, Shekhar Dada. Thank you so much. And we are still continuing with Dada for other practices as well. Then what happened was, I got a news from India that my brother was hit by cancer, and the tongue cancer and bladder. It was both the places in the body, and they were localized. And this concern I mentioned to Shekhar Dada. He said, oh, wait, I'll give you another contact. He gave me contact of Pravin Dada. And see how the chain is. And then Pravin Dada my brother contacted him, and they had discussion. And my brother and his wife, they're doing exactly what he said. Again, I cannot believe that my brother's cancer was all gone, and no, what do you call that? Nothing. Oh my God, I was in tears when I got that news that he's out of everything, no chemo at all, and he's out of everything. So,
Kya baat hai, kya baat hai. No?
so thank you, Shekhar Dada and Pravin Dada. I cannot thank you more than words fall short for all this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So this is, I think it is,
Sure.
So when we say Heartset, I'm trying to put it in the practical. Is that the intent? That the intent being selfless and the intent being helping and caring?
empathy.
Can you repeat what she said? Can you repeat what she's asking?
Repeat karo.
She was trying to So, we want to objectively understand what is a heart set, is her question, right? And if you were to put this heart set into practice, what does one have to really do? And right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to have immense compassion toward yourself first. Deep compassion first before you communicate to anybody. One should have deep love and deepest compassion to oneself. That's where it starts. Only then can you love others. There is no other possibility. Otherwise, it'll, even though you might sound so great, you might sound fantastic, like a textbook, but it amounts to manipulation and your hypocrisy. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the right heart set, purest of the purest empathy and compassion, creativity and healing happens at that level. So when Pravin Dada talks about some cancer survivor, he is deeply identifying his, and there is no difference between that person and him. And since he is loving him, that person becomes that part of the love also. And that's where the healing happens. This is real heart set. This is the heart set when you dissolve yourself completely into the other person. 100%. That is a real heart set. That is how you define heart set. Am I right with that? Yeah. Compassion, empathy, love is at here, not out there. When this is full, it will spill over all over, everywhere. Wherever you walk, it's just spilling compassion, love, happiness, joy, everything. You can't help it. It is so full. It is Niagara Falls right here. Gosh, you cannot it just spills over. It's just like if I go and stand under the shower right now with the same shirt and pant, when I come out without wiping myself, it will be spilling over, right? That's exactly what happens. This guy is like that. He's spilling over. He first figured out who is he, and he fell in love with that. And he said, my goodness, is this what I am? But I've been identifying myself with being a CEO, being this, being that, being this. No. Mero bhalo ki ora. Uski greatness jab samajh mein aa gayi, then that's it. And then only he can say, I am that. When he has experienced that, when he says, I am that, he means it. From a different angle, he has got that experience. Not by going to Himalayas, but he has figured out something else, and that is the healing power he has with him. You see that? That is the heart set. This is the real heart set. When you say something, tie up, you will be healed with. When you do this, you will be healed. You know that word has power. When he is inside, internally he is feeling that. He is identifying yourself with 100% with you, with your suffering. And he said, it shall be done. Done. It shall be done. वो हो जाता है.
Thank you. Yeah. No, that's really beautiful. The most difficult thing to do, Shekhar Dada, is what you just said, is be compassionate with your own self.
Yes.
That's the most difficult thing to do, because we are always judging ourselves.
Yes, and you're feeling guilty. We are feeling sorry about so many nonsense in the planet. People put label on you. You take it out. You put double label on it with a scotch tape on it. You're full of label only. When you take one label out, label out. This is what he did. He took labels after labels after labels after label, and what he found there was nothing. And that's what the Ram means. Sarveshu bhavante iti Rama. That is what he found. Is that what I am? My God.
शेखर दादा, एक बात कहूं कि मैं अभी इन्होंने जो कहा था ना ऑब्जेक्टिव, वो ऑब्जेक्टिव करेंगे तो फिर तो माइंडसेट हो जाएगा ना. माइंडसेट अगर करना है तो ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं हो सकता हो.
माइंडसेट ऑब्जेक्टिव कैसे होगा? सब्जेक्टिव होगा जी. हार्ट सेट सब्जेक्टिव हो जाएगा ना.
Exactly. So she was asking, ki, how can you make that heart set objective? It cannot be.
It cannot be objective.
So
You have to merge with yourself first and bring that person within you, and then stuff happens.
Yeah, and we have a few more very good comments and questions. First of all, people want to know if you can share your contact information, Shekhar Dada, either on WhatsApp, or if you're comfortable, or how can they connect with you, basically. That's what they're asking.
Okay.
You can either put here or on our WhatsApp group if you feel comfortable. Secondly, Vijaya Marathe Tai said, my son is an oncologist. Who can he refer his cancer patients for spiritual care? So she's thinking he can refer his cancer patients to you for spiritual care. So a good thought, Vijaya Tai. A lot of good compliments. And then VR Joshi asks, is this what you just described? Is that same as Atmadnyan?
Pravin will tell this. Pravin, you tell this. This is
So-
a good question.
Is that your contact 630?
Yes. 8819137, and it's the same WhatsApp, and it has the same, Gmail is there too.
So if you really,
You also write down.
yeah. So one of the things that I observed, and this is something that you'll probably also hear it or read about this.
Is that your?
Yeah, that's mine, Pravin Khatal, the number and the email ID. So if you really think about it, they in the Sati Yuga, there were two lokas that are of significance. One is the Devlok, where all the gods were residing, and there was the Patal Lok, where all the asuras were residing. So the good and evil were staying in two different spheres, separated from each other. Then in the Treta Yuga, both of them happened to be on the same planet. You had Ravan in Lanka, and you had Lord Rama in Ayodhya. So they came closer to each other. Then in Dwapar Yuga, you had the Mahabharata, which is where you had within the same family the Pandavas and the Kauravas, the good and the bad, fighting each other. In Kali Yuga today, we have the good and the bad within ourselves. Each one of us. I believe that the war really is between the heart set and the mindset, and that's why mindset versus heart set. The heart set really is the good part of you. The mindset is the objective part. I'm not saying mindset is bad, but it is the thing that is going to keep making you identify with things for pleasure and to avoid suffering. The balance, right balance, is to be struck there, and keeping that in mind, if we can always make an effort towards that balance, it would go a long way in our own evolution as a human being, as a spiritual being, and so on. Sailitai, do we have more time? Shekhar Dada want.
Done.
Okay.
We are almost,
Okay.
it's almost to the end. We have 2-3 more minutes.
Sure.
Will you take a couple more questions or comments?
Sure.
You have time. Okay, Anjali.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks to both of you for your great experiences and for sharing your wisdom. And it was simply wonderful listening to both of you. I had a quick question. Besides the heart set and the mindset, if we want to explain it to an agnostic, about what pure consciousness is all about, do you think it also requires the level of karma of the other person to be at the right time in order to grasp those concepts? Or though of course we want to progress or try to be on our own path, on our own individual spiritual path, and that should be a main focus. So just that question for both of you, for any of you.
Yeah, from a Vedanta standpoint, I am a big follower of karma. I believe that karma, when we say karma yoga also is talked about, it's really a selfless action. When I say self, it is not doing it for the identity that you've created. So if I knew, like the example which I gave some time back about Shekhar Dada driving me, Shekhar Dada does it selflessly. Whenever I go to Chicago, irrespective of what his engagements are, he will come pick me up and drop me to the airports. That is doing selfless work, right? Karma, being selfless. That I believe is the what also is taught in the entire in the Bhagavad Gita, and also Vedanta keeps talking about it. If you see, the core of Vedanta is three questions really. Who are you? That who am I? Second is, what is the nature of the existence around me? And the third one is, what is divine in itself, right? uh, if you ask these questions, you really get down to the nitty gritty of it. You will realize that it is bhakti yoga, gyan yoga, and karma yoga, all three put together. These are three directions. You can actually arrive at the conclusion from either of the ways. Do bhakti so much that you become one with God, where the you doesn't exist. You dissolve into God. Do the work, karma yoga, in such a way where you do not exist. You do it without the identity. You dissolve into the karma. And jnana yoga again means understand who you really are, which is not the use that you have defined as those identities. And dissolve those identities and know the real truth. Look beyond the ignorance of who you think you are, which is where Vedanta talks about many stories about the snake and the rope and the clay and the pot, you know. Yeah, Shekhar Dada also.
Sir, I just wanted to ask, add to what Praveen ji just now said. Somebody asked me, what path did you follow? Did you follow Bhakti Marg? Do you follow Gyan Marg or Karma Yoga, Karma or whatever that is? I said, I followed everything and it doesn't work.
The I has to dissolve.
Exactly. Then what happened? I said, Mera marg hai, kripa marg hai. Grace is everything for me. Now I was, you talk about agnostic. I was atheist, die-hard iconoclastic atheist. Then I became agnostic. Then I became Vedantist. And then whatever. And Vedantist, oh my goodness. If you teach Vedant to an agnostic, he will argue till cows come home.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So he is the most dangerous combination. Agnostic with Vedanta. Oh gosh, that's it. Dangerous. Yeah. Then those dangerous zone I have gone to. I was repelled by everybody. No, don't come close to this guy. He's an idiot. Don't think about him. So that I have gone through. After that, I have left everything.
And finally, from what I understood, Tai, based on coming back to the question, was that our evolution, we have each of us taken form, the human form, many times, millions of times. The whole idea is that our knowing the truth about ourselves is really the final goal. And someday we are all programmed to eventually reach that spot only. It's just that some people are on stage 1 of that evolution and some people are at stage 5. Irrespective of the stage we are in, if we are walking towards that particular final goal, I think, and that is where every lifetime, and this is again, I have no proof of this, but my understanding is the karma does play a role. I feel fortunate that I was doing all the wrong things. And then ते म्हणतात ना, देवानी किंवा डिवाइन केम आणि त्यांनी टपली मारली मला एक, की मित्रा चुकीच्या रस्त्यावर चालला आहेस. आणि I am, now I am happy with whatever I do. Being judgmental about every situation is what actually stops us from doing what is required. Being aware of that I and removing, or at least putting it in the right perspective, is really what is the Heartset all about. It is keeping that I in check, and then and once the I is out of the way, you are not creating karma, because the karma is always linked to the I, and the I is always seeking pleasure and suffering. Every time you engage in a suffering, you are creating karma. Every time you are engaging in pleasure, you are creating karma.
Yeah.
Pravin Dada,
Wow, that was a
excellent.
beautiful explanation. Thank
Excellent,
you. Thank you so
excellent.
much.
So we are almost on time here. So just we will listen to one last comment by Priyanka and then we will end today's session. Priyanka, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Priyanka. So, Abhi, jo Dada ne all that he explained, I would like to give you a small quick trick if you all can practice at this moment, okay? Just have a quick look around yourself. First of all, upar niche sab jagah dekh lijiye. Just see your surrounding, okay? Just know your surrounding. And then close your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay. Now, as you close your eyes, deep breath in and out. And take your awareness out of your body. Go up to the ceiling of the room. And try to see yourself, the body self, below you. And as you are watching yourself down, try to incorporate everything around you in that one vision. And check, do you have any feeling associated with this body, or you're completely detached from this body? Do you address that body down there as your name? Or is you? Of course, that is the name. My name, Priyanka. That body's name is Priyanka, not mine. And see yourself. Does any of the relationship that Priyanka has, or anything, any limiting beliefs that Priyanka has, is affecting me or not? Is anything in her pocket or the purse belongs to me or not? You might find that you are totally not feeling any of those things. Now, this body self is your responsibility. It's not you. That is not you. That name is not yours. That name is of that body. And with this view, you can always judge any situation. If the body is having any kind of craving, or is it appropriate for that body to have that food right now in front of it? Check. And if it at all it's appropriate, then only allow that body to take that food. If at all it's appropriate for that body to speak, then allow that body to speak. If at all it's appropriate, then only allow that body to take action. This is upvas. This is being on top of the things. This is how you can have compassion for your own body self. This is how you can never go wrong. Now gently float down back into the body and see yourself. You might open your eyes.
Thank you, Priyanka. That was a great trick. Very easy to do. So hopefully people could do it. And this is a great point to end today's session. I want to take this opportunity to thank both Shekhar ji and Pravin ji for conducting today's session. We learned a lot. And generally, we have our WhatsApp group open for the day. So if people have any comments or questions, they can post on it. And we will have both Pravin ji and Shekhar ji on that group. So all those who joined today, thank you. And next Sunday, we will have a session by Dr. Prashant Mishra. He'll be joining us from Pune. He is head of cardiology department at Mangeshkar Hospital. and he's going to talk about heart health for the seniors. So we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.